And what's up? Welcome in another edition of GC Live Friday episode. We are, of course, live from Market on Main, as we are many Fridays during the college football season. Chris Clark here, Wes Mitchell. Chris, you missed out on a great meal last week, man, at Market on Main. But we got hooked up today. I want to invite everybody to come out. By the way, the Gamecock men and women's basketball event is tonight right over there.
Yep.
So perfect excuse for you to come by Market on Main, hang out. They have a pep rally as they do every Friday, and then you can come on back to Market. Or if you don't make it tonight, come out. If you're not going to the game on Saturday, obviously we encourage you all to go enjoy some tailgating, enjoy the game, enjoy the fair. But if you're not going to the game, great place to watch this game and other games right above us. Luckily, we have a canopy over us, but above our head is the 23-foot LED screen, and really, for my money, one of the best places you can watch a football game. So we're thankful that Market on Main has us here again. And welcome in again. We're an hour earlier than usual. I'm so used to the 2 o'clock slot. I set the time early, so maybe a little slow with our folks getting in here in the chat room, but hopefully you guys find us and get in here and see the alert that we are live. If they subscribe to us on YouTube, Chris, they'll get the alert no matter whether I mess it up or not. So hopefully they're subscribed to us on YouTube. Hit the little subscribe button if you're there. This show is brought to you by our good friend Clint Hammond of the Mortgage Network, ClintHammond.com, 803-771-6933. We'll give them some more details about Clint later on because I want to get into some football, Chris. Of course, talking South Carolina versus Vanderbilt. We'll be joined a little bit later on by our good friend, good buddy, Preston Thorne. We spoke to his good friend and business partner, Langston Moore, earlier this week. We're going to have Preston on today to hang out with us and talk some ball and talk a little bit about the Teacher Appreciation Day for the South Carolina Vandy game as well. Beautiful weather, man. Hopefully this carries over to tomorrow for what is clearly South Carolina's best opportunity to this point to get that first, I would say, elusive to this point, SEC dub during the Shane Beamer era.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It is a good opportunity. Vanderbilt, we talked to Chris Lee yesterday of VandySports.com, and always has great perspective. And he kind of went into more detail with what we already know, and that is this is a Vandy team that's struggled and scuffled, as we figured would be the case. They've got 2 wins this season, Wes, none of them in conference. They beat a Colorado State that's Colorado State team that's really, really struggled. And then, of course, as we've dubbed it, or as I've dubbed it, I don't want to put that on you, the Toilet Bowl against UConn. They came out on top, last-minute field goal, won by 2. A messy game, 2 of the worst teams in FBS. UConn, the worst team in FBS, I think 0-6. So Vandy's got 2 wins under their belt. South Carolina, Wes, it must be said, fair to say, their wins not super impressive either to date, right? ECU, Troy, EIU, looking for that first conference win. But like you said, a really good opportunity to do it. This is a Vandy team that it is one of the few, I think, games this year that South Carolina is going to be able to go into this contest and have kind of a distinct talent advantage, right? I mean, there's not many games, and part of it's because of the schedule and where South Carolina is as a program. Not many games this year where that's going to happen. This is one of them, and so it's an opportunity to capture your 4th overall win, your first conference win. Good opportunity to do it tomorrow.
Gamecocks heavily favored, of course. I haven't seen – maybe some of the folks in our chat have followed this stuff more closely than I do. I haven't seen the latest line, but I know, it was up there 17, 18, 19. At one point it was 20. So, Vegas clearly has not shown a lot of love to South Carolina to this point this year based on the matchups. But equally, or I shouldn't say equally, even more so, they don't love Vandy. And, this is certainly a game. It was interesting how, Vandy fans, Chris Lee was telling us, maybe even attach themselves to the idea that, hey, this might be the most winnable game as far as SEC play goes. And then you sort of look at it, if from the Vandy side, and you say you're still almost a 3-touchdown underdog in this game, which, I want this show to be about South Carolina versus Vandy, not necessarily diving back into Vandy and how bad the program is right now. Bryce weighing in for us, 18.5 is the line right now. Of course, South Carolina favored. Man, it's they're in a bad way right now, and we are used to Vandy. Like let's go back the last 20 years. Like that's my college football, like where I was really dialed in and knew what was going on window there. We're used to South Carolina beating Vandy. This is, I think, 12 in a row South Carolina has won, but also we are used to Vandy knocking off a team every now and then. We're used to Vandy giving somebody fits. Under James Franklin, they were in some bowl games. They played some really tight games with South Carolina when Steve Spurrier, really in the height of the Spurrier era. Even I remember Connor Shaw, by the way, congrats to him, officially in the Hall of Fame as of yesterday. I remember Connor Shaw, in that Gamecock team going into Nashville to open the season and having to get a big catch from Justice Cunningham on a big drive late, to set themselves up to win that game. So we're used to Vandy not being great, but we're also used to Vandy hanging around and being a threat, being a thorn in your side. I don't feel like Vandy is at that point right now.
Well, they're not. I think, in a broad sense, I think this is a game that some people could look at and think of it as being a little bit scary because of how South Carolina's played. You compare their resume. They've had 3 wins, but there's not really a huge quality win in there. Didn't play well at all against Tennessee. Didn't play, did some things against Georgia, which is far and away the best team in the country, as we've seen, and then kind of puttered away an opportunity at Kentucky. Kept that game close, but had a lot of that was because of the opportunities they were given through turnovers. So their resume isn't great either from that win-loss perspective. So I think that's why it's kind of a scary game for South Carolina, and certainly one that you can't afford to lose. But you're right. I mean, you look at Vandy, they're at a talent differential, which I think is telling because South Carolina is not one of the most talented teams from top to bottom in the conference this year. So you've got that, which illustrates where Vandy is. Also got, in terms of scheme and things like that, you got to remember, Wes, go back. Clark Lee, the guy that he originally appointed to be the offensive coordinator and went through spring with, actually stripped play calling duties from him
before the season even started.
Before preseason camp. So they went into the preseason camp. They took the guy who was, I think, going to be their quarterbacks coach and pass game coordinator, gave him the play calling duties. Chris Lee from Vandy Sports hit on that yesterday. And a lot of what he said was true, Wes. If you go back and look, like I watched a lot of the Vandy Florida game, a lot of horizontal passes, things like that. Run game, they're averaging just over 3 yards a carry. So just not a lot in the way of threats there. And then special teams, they've struggled too. Now, South Carolina has their own set of struggles that we've documented all those in every show that we do and all our writings on Gamecock Central. This is still a game that, given like South Carolina's low margin of error, they've still got to play. They can't play terribly and win this game. But they do have a good opportunity to win this game.
No doubt, man. As I get this set up, you want to intro Preston real quick?
Yeah, no doubt. So we had Langston Moore, Preston's business partner, on earlier this week. So host of The Extra Point on 107.5 The Game. What's up, Preston? With our guy Pearson Fowler and author, businessman, former Gamecock, Preston Thorne. What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
Hey.
How y'all doing?
Yeah, we're doing well. Thanks for coming out
Good
and
to be
joining
out
us.
here with y'all, man.
Absolutely. Just talking, diving in a little bit to South Carolina Vandy.
Okay.
Some of the storylines we've had on Langston earlier this week. Give us some big picture thoughts on the Gamecocks as well as the projects you guys have going on. We had Chris Lee from VandySports.com on earlier this week to preview Vandy. So give us a few opening thoughts before we dive into what you guys are doing. You and Langston and Kev Roche. Give us some opening thoughts on the game this weekend.
I think it's a big game. I think it's one of the bigger games. I guess I said earlier in the year that the Kentucky game was a big game, and obviously we came up a little bit short. But I think this Vandy game is really big because, I would say, like, us as fans, we want to see them, explode and put up a bunch of points. But I just think for the guys in the locker room, for them to sort of have some reassurance that the message is landing with everybody, I think they need to see some success. And like I said earlier, I think we can squarely say that Vanderbilt's not as talented as we are, and so we should go out there and be able to beat them. And I think that would really, really go a long way for the rest of the season.
How big is that in a locker room if you can not just beat a team, but actually control a game. Maybe you're up enough in the fourth quarter that everybody starts to get in there. Some of the things that I'm sure the new staff have been preaching ever since they arrived. And is there a point when like you're sort of, I imagine, trying to beat out the outside noise, and sort of if you're the staff, you're trying to like stay on topic, stay on brand as far as what you're trying to maybe instill as sort of all the buzzwords we hear, right? Culture and all that stuff. But I feel like you're probably constantly fighting this thing of, if you're Beamer, you know this is a rebuild job. You're not going to be as overall talented as a lot of teams in the SEC you face. But at the same time, you're trying to instill confidence and positivity and let these guys know you believe in them and, you support them. So I imagine at this point in the season, man, sitting at 3-3, I don't know if it's like, as Eric Kimmer would say, like an inflection point, but
big word.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels to me like we're at that point where some of the outside noise is a little bit on the negative side. Does it break that barrier into the locker room? And I mean, you've been in locker rooms, all your life, man. What do you think's going through the head of the guys? How big would that be to have something positive happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure you can understate it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you can. I mean, it's huge because the coaches you have a new coaching staff coming in. They're probably preaching new techniques, new ideas, new buzzwords around the building, new ways that we do things. And for any of the guys that may be possibly resistant or just kind of like, I don't know about all this stuff, you need to have some results to like hold on to. And it could be a breakout game. It could be a game where finally all three phases start working together. And it's just because this allows Coach Beamer and his staff to say, like, I told you, we told y'all this is how it can work. This can happen. And, I think this, I don't know, man. I don't think you can understate how important this game would be. And that confidence is kind of like a woo-woo word or whatever, but just to win a game, man, and win it convincingly, you can go back and say, man, Coach might know what he's talking about because we've done all the things he said and it worked.
And Langston went into that a little bit earlier this week, talking about the early Lou Holtz days. They had all these processes they were going through, and Langston even said, well, we're going to win 10 games, and then they don't win any, but then the next year is when you see it, to stay in the course. Somebody actually was pointing that out about Coastal Carolina to me this week, saying that a lot of the guys down there now have become convinced, or they recognize that the culture, the processes that they put in are a big part of the reason for their success, So, like, as a player, obviously that's what everybody, these coaches, that's what they aspire to. That's what Beamer wants to do. Culture's been huge for him. As a player, like, aside from just winning a game, like, what are the things that you as a player look for? What do you think these players look for to, like, gain that confidence? It's just kind of out there in the ether, like you said, but aside from just a win.
Yeah, so to build on what Langston was saying, I was in the class that came after the 0-11 season, right? Yeah. And so I could kind of just see these guys around, and like we worked really like crazy hard. And Coach Holtz was like a lunatic in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. But after that first win in New Mexico State, you could see the guys in the locker room like, oh, this is what it feels like. This is how. And then the Georgia game after that, everybody's like, oh, we're gonna buy into this lunatic. Whatever he's saying is working. We like the way it feels to win a game. We're gonna keep that train rolling. So, yeah, man, a win in a game is like, it's just, especially when you're, like you said, it's an inflection point. We're 3-3. There's some guys who maybe straddling the fence right now, like, I don't know, man. I liked it better last time, or I like it better somewhere else. So, all those kind of normal things that you have when anything gets sort of tough. To get a victory and a little bit of a reprieve from feeling that way, is huge.
Well, I looked at the first half of the year, and I looked at Kentucky and Tennessee, and those were the two games that I was like, if you could somehow split them, and that's just looking at it on paper. If you could somehow split them, then you're probably feeling okay about being in a position to get to a bowl game. And obviously, Tennessee game, completely out of hand in the first quarter. Kentucky game, that's the one I think everybody's going to be looking back on, maybe even at the end of the season, looking back on and saying it was there. It was there for the taking. Couldn't get it. But I think, if a bowl game is even going to continue to be in the conversation, it has to include a W on the schedule this week, because then you're at 4 wins. Missouri, I think, is winnable. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but yeah, if you're going to have if we're even going to be talking about bowl games, it can't include it can't include a loss to Vanderbilt and what would be their first SEC win because they didn't win any last year, right?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that and Vandy probably has this game circled. Like this is our chance.
That's the big
to maybe
one.
Get one.
That's the big one. I don't know how you preach that in the locker room, but it's like, hey guys, we're not going to have any more chances this year. I think we need to get this one, man. As a matter of fact, I think you have some of those old Lou Holtz guys trying to tell the story. I think when they lost to Vanderbilt during that 0-11 year, that was kind of when they were like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get it done this year. So, yeah, so I say that to say they're going to be highly motivated coming into the game. So I think we're better than them, more talented than them, and all of that. But they're going to be motivated to get off the snide for sure.
Tell us, I want to get your impressions on line play, since that's your background, at Carolina. What have you seen defensive line, offensive line wise too? I asked Langston earlier this week about Zach Pickens' progression up front, how he's playing with better technique, it looks like to me. But obviously the offensive line on the other side has not played as well. So what have you seen in the trenches this year for South Carolina? How can they kind of get better and rebound this week?
Yeah, so the positive, I think Zach has played really, really well. And I guess for fans, the position he's playing the one technique, so he kind of gets swallowed up in nobody. So when we hear 5-star, we're kind of expecting a lot of big flash plays and all of those types of things. But I think he's playing really, really well. I haven't seen any like all 22s or anything like that, but just from the TV copies that I see, it looks like he's doing a really good job of anchoring that defense, and the guys are sort of playing around it. I guess the flip side of that is the offensive line. And what I guess from a technical standpoint, I see them. Some coaches refer to it like a swinging gate. So instead of staying like square and moving down, you'll just see a lot of bodies turning sideways and sort of creating larger gaps for defenses to penetrate. And I don't know whether that's a technique thing or whether that's a want to, or I'm not sure what that is. But that's just sort of what I see on that side. And it's sort of interesting because, I think they're playing hard. It's not a matter of not playing hard. So I just wonder where the disconnect is happening.
Yeah. I think we all are sort of having that. I think a lot of people that are listening or watching probably had that conversation with their friends. Like, hey, 1,000-yard rusher last year. What's up this year?
Yeah.
And, I think it's always going to be a combination of things, obviously.
Yeah.
I think some of it, in my opinion, has been that, to me, Kevin Harris coming in at the beginning of the year didn't quite look like himself either. Maybe a couple of those plays last year where a guy went unblocked and he just pounded through. That maybe those plays haven't happened this year. But I look back at last year, and I thought the running game, even though Kevin, obviously had a huge year statistically, there was a lot of negative plays as well, like a lot of tackles for loss, allowed. But then there was a lot of explosive plays as well. So I thought a lot of what we saw last year, think of all the long runs Harris had against Ole Miss, against Vanderbilt, several teams there. He's busting off long runs, and much faster kid than I even gave him credit for coming in. I feel like some of the tackles for loss have still been there, but then the big explosive plays that were balancing them out, maybe even hiding them in the stats a little bit last year, for the most part, have not been there, certainly to the extent they were last year. I will say this, man. Tell me if you agree or disagree. I thought last week against Tennessee, against a pretty, solid, average SEC front, that was the first time I saw flashes of South Carolina being able to actually line up, have some success running the football. Not even against Troy, it was kind of like smoke and mirrors to me. Most of the rushing yards was on like 2 end arounds to Josh Van, or these little like swing passes to Juju McDowell, where it's like an extension of your running game. Last week was the first time this season, other than like EIU, which I don't really count, that I thought they lined up and did have some success running the football. And I know they're hoping you can build off that a little bit this week against a Vandy team that hasn't been great defensively either.
So it's what I just said on the radio. I've heard people say that about Tennessee, but I can't say that because I was like in shock after the 28-0. I was like freaking. I was like, what are we doing? What's going on? So I couldn't even really watch the game critically after that point.
You were just blinded.
Yeah, I was like, can we? What do my friends say? Like, can we hit the reset button on this? This
right. Is when you take the PlayStation
for sure
and just
yank it out, man. Yeah. You scope me. Let's start it over again. But a lot of people have said that, and I think that is a positive thing. And I think that as you was talking, I had the flash of Kevin Harris had a run last year against Vanderbilt. I don't think he got touched. It was like a tall sweep, and he just kept running. No, there was nobody there. So I hope to see a little bit more of that. But there were a lot of big runs last year. Now that when you said that, I hadn't really thought about that perspective. I guess what I would hope to see is I don't need a lot of that. I want to see like some consistency. 3-4 yards. Here we go. Let's be able to just at least have a decently reliable running game. And again, we don't have to like the way he left or what he was doing here, but Mike Bobo is a proven play caller in the SEC, and he's known for years to be able to figure out ways to run the ball. And so that's his expertise. And so I don't think we can discount that expertise not being in there. That's not saying anything about Coach Satterfield or him trying to feel his way around and figure out who he is as a play caller. But, Coach Bobo had 14 to 15 years of being able to do that. So I think that is a valuable. So you take all of that stuff and you put it together, and that kind of leads us to where we are now, I guess.
Let me get in here for another one, Chris, because it hit my memory as well, man. Like when you're talking about that, Bobo, people can say whatever they want about Bobo, and even when he was hired, there were some people like, this is an old school offense. We don't want an offense from 15, 20 years. Yeah, I mean,
I was on that train.
Well, when he and I first, because we were, you start asking around when there's an opening, and we're like, Chad Morris is available. That, worked for Clemson for a little while. That might be the move. And then we start hearing, well, no, Mike Bobo is the first target. I mean, I'll readily admit it. Like, me and him were like, Mike Bobo, like, for real?
Yeah, it's like
that's
meatloaf again,
like, all right. I mean, and then, then I watched what he did last year, and it was old school, but I'm like, this play sets up this play. This running play looks exactly like this play action play. And to me, with what he was working with, getting the ball to Shi Smith, with everybody knowing Shi Smith is pretty much the only consistent receiver option, what he did in the running game, I left with a whole new respect of Mike Bobo as a coach and as a play caller. And it sort of gave me this mindset of, okay, that's sort of deeper knowledge of how to set up plays and layer plays with other plays that had maybe been missing around here. And I kind of was like, how many guys out there that South Carolina can go get can give you that? So when we first thought Bobo was staying, I know some fans were kind of like, whatever. I was like, you could do way worse. You could do way, 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 way worse. Now, with Satterfield, the thing that keeps coming back to my mind is there's all types of different ways you can run an offense, right? Everybody's got these different schemes, and there's different ways you can approach offense, and all of them can probably be successful in time. To me, there was like an interesting, like direct sort of opposing approach when I looked at Tennessee, and sort of they installed this very college-y offense, for lack of a better way to say it. But they went all in on the tempo thing. And to me, looking at what they were actually doing did not look like it was super complicated in how it was designed. And I looked at an offense that I said, man, their guys are playing fast. Their guys seem to understand exactly what they're doing. And they kind of have an answer for whatever you're going to do. It doesn't mean it's always going to be, they're going to face a great defense at some point and they're going to get shut down.
Right.
But just looking at the two offenses, I was like, okay, the South Carolina approach has been pro style. Satterfield said several times, this is an offense that you would see in the NFL. So long term, for Luke Doty or some of the guys playing in it, maybe they're going to learn a lot as far as getting them ready for the NFL. But as far as just 6 games into this whole new thing, it just clicking and looking great and all that, that might be asking a lot, because to me, what we do compared to what Tennessee's doing is just a little bit or a lot of bit more complicated.
It looks like it.
Appears to be.
It
right?
appears to be. Well, I mean, when you just see the combinations, the formations, the substitutions, all of those types of things. And so one of the things with tempo is that we can't substitute because we're running on the field. So we pretty much have the 11, maybe there's 12 guys, maybe 13 guys. But, we're we're probably playing upwards of like 20, 22 guys on offense at any given time, which can be an advantage. It's not for us right now. And so maybe it may benefit us to kind of slow things down and get to something a little bit more basic. But it's interesting because if you watch NFL on Sunday, you think about Arizona and some of those others, they're like doing college-y things.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know where that, I mean, they're probably, obviously they're taking things to another level with reads and audibles and all that stuff, but a lot of those concepts are coming out of college. So I don't know.
Pro style maybe doesn't mean what it, like pro style.
Pro style means Bobo.
Yeah.
When I say pro style, I think like
you think Mike Bobo, fullback.
Yeah, and I mean, and we know that, just from what we've heard and what you see on the field, like you said, Preston, like conceptually, there's a lot more to this offense, and that could be, like you said earlier, Wes, there are a lot of reasons for the offense struggling this year, I think. Coming into this year, no matter who the offensive coordinator, whether it's going to be Bobo, whether it's going to be Satterfield, pick your guy, one of the challenges I think this offense was always going to face was, from a player standpoint, they're not as good as they have been in the past. They're not as good relative to some other teams they're going to face on defense. So that's part of it. The best teams in college football have the best players. Bottom line, that's the end of it. There's scheme, there's development. Those things are very important. But it does come down to players. Now, when you go past that, it's about maximizing what you have on the roster. And I think Shane Beamer, that's what he's consistently said. What's going to be a successful season? It's going to be, can we maximize this team, make it the best that they possibly could be? I think that for Gamecock fans, and even for us who cover it, like that's the biggest disconnect, because we also have the backdrop of last year, that run that Kevin made, which was that was like the epiphany of Vandy. Oh my God, he can run, Yeah,
because he didn't get walked down. He
Yeah.
just kept running. I was like, all right, somebody's going to hawk him in a minute.
No.
And he just kept running.
He just kept going, and then we saw that more and more during the season, especially against Ole Miss, who was very bad. But
there
still,
were several runs against Ole Miss where he was not touched.
He's not touched. And so having that and then knowing, okay, he's back. Okay, you got Marshawn Lloyd, former 5-star. You got Zaquandre White, et cetera. And then, oh, by the way, you got 4 or 5 linemen coming back. That gave everyone a reason not to even hope, but just to think that coming into this year they'd run the ball. But what has happened instead is the base runs, they haven't been able to execute. And I think that's a big problem with this offense, among other things, right? Now, we could go into the why they can't execute them. We could do a whole podcast on that probably. And I don't know if we'd come up with a firm answer. But that's why we've seen every week we've seen some new wrinkles of how to get the ball on the perimeter. Satterfield even admitted it. Not admitted, it's probably a bad word, but this week he talked about that. We haven't been able to execute basically base runs, and that's why you're seeing Josh Vann reverses. He's a leading rusher against Troy. We're seeing the Juju pop passes. We're seeing some different things like that. Can this offense get just base runs on track?
That's what I would like to see this Saturday.
Right.
I'd like to see them be able to line up, run an inside zone,
Yeah.
And kind of just run some basic things, like whatever your spring offense, whatever the offense you run in the spring game. I like to see them be able to line up in that and be able to go beat Vanderbilt using basic plays. It's not going to be anything fancy, but we're going to be and we're going to execute well. We're more talented, and we should be better. That, to me, that would make me really happy to see.
And I think when you can do that, and not just against Vandy, let's project it to the rest of the year. Maybe that's a springboard. Maybe it's not. Maybe they execute those against Vandy, and then against A&M, which will be a much bigger challenge. Maybe a shutdown, But if you can somehow get that a little bit more, maybe the Tennessee game was a little bit of a window into they're getting better. It might, maybe not. We'll see. But if that's the case, that then unlocks a little bit more of your offense. In terms of now your perimeter runs are even more effective. Now your passing game becomes a little bit more effective. When you can't line up and run inside zone, for instance, and it's one of your base staple runs, you either got to eliminate it, which is a problem because it's a big part of your strategy, or you got to just keep grinding away and hope it hits. And when it doesn't, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's tough as a first-year coordinator to sort of have to. So if the theme is Mike Bobo, he has 14 years, 15 years of experience behind him. Like, this is going to work eventually. Or at least I have the cachet that people know I'm good at calling plays and this will work. As a first-year guy, kind of like, I got to get something. Maybe start pressing a little bit because I got to get something going because my plays aren't working. I don't have the cachet to really stick with, an inside zone. Because to us as a fan, when you see the inside zone, it's like, oh, stupid, why did they do that? It looks really bad when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, he just lined up and ran it up the center's butt. And now it's like, and then we're like, come on, man, call it up. So I guess you can feel that pressure, man. That's a tough decision. Yeah. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to is to that.
There's no. We've all seen it. We've all been sitting in the stands. So there's nothing that creates a more audible groan than a run up the middle for like a loss of a half yard. Because everybody, why are you running up the middle, man? And if you run that thing up for 7 yards, everybody's like, all right, good call. Keep the ball on the ground. But then there's nothing that creates that guy that's always seems to be sitting behind me. Always, if you throw the ball, why didn't you run the ball? If you run the ball, why didn't you throw it? That guy always finds me in the stadium. But seriously, a run up the middle. It's
hard to stomach.
Yeah, everybody's like, we can't think of anything better. Especially a run up the middle on the first play of the game. If I was a play caller, I'm running play action. First play.
Can't run the play up
single game.
Can't run it up the middle of the first play.
Yeah, just don't do it. I'm gonna boot my quarterback out there, get him a little easy throw, an option or two. But running up the middle for again, and I wonder. It feels like the pressure of the fan base has found its target in Satterfield right now. I'm sure he feels that because you look
that's
at
an interesting way to put it.
You look at the I think for what the expectations were coming in, people look at the defense and they're like, man, Clayton White has come in, implemented his scheme. Has the defensive play been perfect? Of course not. But the guys run, they run to the ball, they play fast, they play hard. They seem to have an understanding of what they're trying to do. Special teams has been really good. So then what's left? You look at the offense and people are like, well, this isn't going the way I thought it would. So it kind of naturally gets directed that way. And, with the output so far, I mean, it's fair for people to say that, feel that way, I think. I asked Langston this. When you're watching the game, you watching the ball or you watching the defensive line?
I'm only watching defensive line to a fault.
To a fault?
Yeah, it's bad.
All right. I know if Carolina's on defense, you're watching the defensive line. I'm sure. If Carolina's on offense, are you watching their defense? Really?
Oh. Yeah.
You can't.
I can't not. My eyes have to just go right there. So I think that's why I've noticed some of the stuff that we're doing, offensive line wise. I'm just paying attention to the other team's defensive line. I'm like, ooh, that was nice. He's killing it. You know what I'm saying? Like some of those guys, like Kentucky had the big dude, right? They had a big dude in the middle.
Yeah,
Kentucky had a
big
goodness.
nose tackle.
Yeah.
big war daddy right in the middle. I was like, woo,
He was tough.
yeah,
He messed some things up.
yes. He
He
caused some disruption. So yeah, I'm watching those guys like with a kind of like a little grin, like.
So, all right, you're watching the D-line live. If they show a replay, will you maybe watch the ball and what happened on the replay? Or you're saying,
That's just another chance to watch
Preston.
the D-line. That's just another chance to see what happened here. You know, like, I'll catch the ball eventually. If something happens,
Eventually.
yeah, I'll see it eventually, but it's bad.
Well, most I feel like casual fans are ball watchers. Like they're watching the ball the whole way. I feel like most former players I've asked generally gravitate to like their position.
Yeah.
Like quarterbacks, I feel like quarterbacks. It seems like if Carolina's on offense, they're watching the opposing team's defense and secondary. Like they're watching what are they in. But you know, most your average fan, they're watching the ball. And
that's not even a bad way to watch football. I think that's probably the most entertaining way.
Yes,
it's the most entertaining way to watch it. You know, you see what's going on and all that stuff's happening. But quarterbacks have to see everything all the time, so that's how they're always watching. They're always watching the game from like a higher global kind of. I don't care what coverage is, man. You can play whatever coverage. It doesn't matter to me.
You're looking up front.
Yeah, I was watching an NFL game the other night. It was Tampa Bay. Might have been last night, I think. They're on the goal line-ish, and they're running some funky blitz, and they're dropping Vita Vea back in coverage. I'm like, what are we doing? That's so silly. Like, I know that's what calls for, but it's just stupid. So that's what I'm watching.
So Langston mentioned that too about dropping back JJ and Igbare. That really bothered him.
Oh yeah, he's like what? I would never. He's like I would never have JJ dropping back. Like I might move him around and have him rushing from a different spot, but
which he's doing a lot this year.
Yeah, he's doing
that a lot this year.
He's had a great year, I think, man. I
Absolutely.
think he's had an outstanding year.
They've been doing that a lot, but yeah, that's probably one of my pet peeves too. I'm like, no, that dude's a first round dude, not for covering the flats.
Remember they did that with Clowney some. Remember they talked about we're gonna move Clowney around. So maybe against college offensive tackles, let's let Clowney get to the quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know because the way the defense is designed, you have to have somebody that's filling that.
Sure.
Yeah, but DJ, they used to do it with DJ a lot too. DJ Waddle, and I'll be like,
I feel like they did it with him more than any of them. They had some of those plays where he's just defending the flats.
Yeah,
and I'm like
covering somebody.
I'm like
covering the grass.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the thing is, if he gets out there and a running back gets the ball with him one-on-one.
Yeah, with some space.
What's going to happen? He's going to get shook. He's not going to make that tackle. So it's like,
That bothers you.
Stumbled upon a pet peeve.
Yeah. I like it.
So who's the best? Who have you been? It's kind of on the spot. You might not be able to remember, but best defensive lineman that South Carolina's faced this year. Obviously, big nose tackle. From Kentucky.
I thought that guy from Kentucky. He's the first one that sort of sticks out in my mind. I thought he was really good.
He was.
What do you think of the big guy from Georgia, Jordan Davis?
Yeah, he's kind of.
Well, their whole D-line.
Yeah, because you can pick any of them out. The thing about Davis, he plays like a hoodie on it. What is that? Have you noticed that? It's not like I don't know. It's like I think it's like a hoodie he plays up with underneath his pants. I don't know. That's weird.
That's different.
Protect his body from himself. He's so big. I don't know. But Jalen. They put in Jalen Carter. I think 88 as a fullback in one of their goal line packages. And I don't know the status of the player that he blocked, but I'm worried about him
because
he destroyed.
Because Jordan Davis kind of went in there. He didn't really block anybody, but 88. He was like, "Oh, this is my chance." They probably told him, if you block, we might give you the ball, so you might get it. Maybe one day.
Him.
Yeah. Like, do your blocks right, and you might get the ball one day.
The keyword might.
Oh, yeah, that's always.
Did you ever get to carry it in practice or a game?
I did. I had 2 carries for 6 yards in JV football.
Oh, I stole my Carolina. Okay, then you went back on
JV football. 2 carries for 6 yards. It was my play.
3 each, or was 1 6 and 1 0?
I think it was probably as solid as like square 3 each, if I remember
correctly.
correctly.
3 yards in a cloud of dust.
That's exactly what it was.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
got you to 3rd and 4.
Yeah.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
That is awesome, man.
You know what's crazy? We did have I was like on that first when they first started putting like that 3 bears kind of punt scheme. You know where they put the kind of like the 3 personal protectors.
Yeah.
We were one of the first teams to really start doing that, but y'all been following Gamecock football a long time, so it was me, Rod Wilson, and George Goss.
Oh,
you're not gonna hurt my feelings to figure out like who's the least athletic out of those 3, and somehow they designed a play where I was gonna be the guy to get the fake punt.
Oh,
I was like, this is stupid. Like, clearly you have 2 dudes that are gonna play in the league. They're freak athletes. I'm a one technique. I don't think I would draw this up for me to be the guy carrying the ball. But we ran it at practice and
no success. Really?
Mm-mm.
They kind of scrap it.
Oh man!
You should have just taken it and handed it to one of them.
That would have been a play.
No.
Here, Rod, you be a real athlete to go run the ball.
Would have saw the lunatic Lou after you did that, though. I feel like just went on your own with that. I remember though when Carolina started using that punt formation, and I was like, "What?
Yeah, it was that.
I have not seen this
something
before."
Crazy, yeah.
Was that? Do you know where that came? Like, was that?
I don't know if it was Lou's creation, but we were really early in the game on that for sure. And seems like almost everybody uses some version of it now.
Yeah,
today.
it's taken off.
Have y'all noticed something? And I couldn't figure out if I was watching my TV wrong, but like people are snapping at a angle.
So I noticed that Texas A&M. You talking about
our team's doing that?
Yeah,
field
I don't
goals?
know what it is, but
punters.
Field goals.
Yeah. I saw the holder for Texas A&M was like, and I did the same thing. I was like, am I looking at this like is something wrong with my brain? First of all, but the holder was like squared up or something. He had his leg behind him, and it was on the one when they beat Alabama.
Yeah.
That kick, the holder
Short
was at
kick.
a very weird angle.
Like it wasn't straight on. It didn't. I couldn't figure out what was going. Like it looked like it was like, I don't know.
I don't. It may have been. I just know I noticed the way he had his feet.
It looked different.
It was weird. It was very different. But it is funny how in football something will be done the exact same way for decades, and then somebody comes up with some new little wrinkle on how to do something, and then everybody else says, I might want to try that.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it takes off.
Yeah,
that's just how things were done from that point forward. Yeah, that is interesting.
I remember that formation. Man, what did you think of Trey Jones, 44 offensive lineman, get some time at fullback?
I'm sure he's living the dream. Man. If you want to get on the field, any way possible.
And maybe, is that a workaround to some of the running issues inside? I think even with the inside run issues, I mentioned earlier, we could do a whole hour or more on those. Why? But one thing that we do know is Satterfield said he wanted to do more under center going into this year. Then Luke gets hurt.
Right.
So then you don't really want a guy under center necessarily when he's just coming off this foot injury for a lot of reasons. Drops, get stepped on, whatever. They put in that formation. Seemed very smart to me. Trey Jones, you remember how athletic dude was in high school. Abbeville guy, played some HVAC type stuff in high school. Really athletic. What did he run at Carolina's camp? 4.69, I think.
Yeah, he ran. He was a camp offer. One of those in-state guys that you say, we want to look at him.
Yeah.
Comes in, runs a blistering time.
Super athletic.
He's like a shorter guy for offensive line standards. But
that's interesting. See, I didn't have any of that background, so that makes a little bit more sense for sure.
Yeah, future center is what he was envisioned as coming into Carolina. Like Wes said, a little undersized, but a great athlete. So I think that made a lot of sense. And they said Satterfield said, maybe Luke even addressed it, they're going to do some more of that. And so could that help? The inside run. They got to establish the inside run somehow.
Well, so I guess they were maybe going to try and get by with Jaheim playing fullback.
And we've seen some of that.
And he's seen some of that. And I haven't watched practice, but Jaheim seems like a receiving first tight end type of guy.
Yeah.
You're not saying that he doesn't block or doesn't want to block, but it's a little bit different mentality blocking somebody at tight end where you just, as opposed to going straight forward on an ISO or something like that.
And Trey found somebody on one of those plays and mashed him.
And if that's if you can find somebody that enjoys doing that,
yeah,
roll with it.
yeah.
So maybe we'll see.
Yeah,
I would love to see that. I'd love to see us line up in some type of I-21 and just mash Vanderbilt. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Wanamaker getting some time at right tackle. He mashed somebody too. I like that kid, man. Like I know in recruiting, I like that kid a lot. From Calhoun County, there was going to be a little jump up, for him as far as getting ready for SEC play. But he played basketball in high school, athletic kid, can run the floor. I think we're going to see a little bit more of Wanamaker mixed in this week as well because they got some of those young offensive linemen. It seems like they're trying to find ways to involve the guys who they feel like are earning time in practice. And as much as there's been negative talk about the offense, I love the Trey Jones wrinkle last week. I think especially if you're in those situations where the other team knows you're going to run the football, 3rd and goal, at the 2 or 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 type situations. I love having that aspect because you probably do. You're not going to go play action and flip the ball out to Trey Jones more than likely in the flat. So I think the opponent sort of knows when he comes in, you're taking away one of your 5 eligible receivers. But if it's a situation where they already know you need to run the football anyway, I like having that extra girth, a little extra attitude, and a team that really doesn't have a true fullback. Anyway, It'd be one thing if you had Pat DeMarco, still lining up at fullback, but they don't really have a true fullback right now anyway. So I think, if we're going to be harsh on everything else, let's give credit that was a kind of smart, sharp idea, in my opinion. I don't want it to get away from us, man, because we're getting towards the end. Preston, what is going on with Teacher Appreciation Day at the game tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, so, excuse me. So this will be our 3rd year doing Teacher Appreciation Day at the game, and we have, from last year, because of COVID, we weren't able to do it last year. So we'll have, as of our last check-in, we had 32 District Teachers of the Year. So we're inviting the District Teachers of the Year to come, and we'll have them tour the indoor facility, take them in there, take some pictures and everything, and then they'll be honored at, I think it's maybe at some break point during the first quarter. It really is just for all the, obviously the District Teachers of the Year are exemplary teachers in that area, but they represent so many teachers who do amazing work every day around the state. And that's one of the things we were really fortunate to be able to travel around the state and just see how many people are really putting in work with, your kids or your cousins or your nephew or whoever. And so that's just our way of sort of honoring them and giving them a little time to shine.
And I said it the other day, shout out to my mom. She's in her 40th year.
Warrior.
This is her last year.
Warrior.
She is retiring after this year. So.
How she feel? Is she kind of like, I've always heard the teachers that like, they was like, I'm ready. And then like as the year goes on, they're like, I don't know.
I think she is finally ready because for probably the last 5 years, every single year, we were all sort of like, you going back? She's like, yeah, I'm going back. It's just, but she's been at the same school for most of the 40 years. So,
that's awesome.
And it's 5 minutes from my parents' house. That's literally what she has done for that entire stretch. So, luckily, she actually teaches piano at the house as well. She has some students that come,
so she can get her fix. She can get her teacher fix.
Yeah, I think that will help because she's a music teacher anyway. So she's got her like 5 students I think that come during the week. So she'll have a little outlet for that. But
wait. You skipped the lead here. So Wes Mitchell.
No.
Nothing.
That's what I was going to ask because I
the musical talent. Is that?
Yeah.
Piano, anything?
I mean, I'll be honest. When I was a kid, like I took piano lessons, but sang in church growing up. I love music, but it was funny. This guy walking by earlier asked me and Chris if we were the band, and I was just like, nah, man, you keep walking.
Don't want us.
You do not want that. I don't know. I've always loved music as far as listening to music, going to concerts, but it didn't. My grandpa was actually. My grandpa helped create bluegrass festivals back in the day,
Really?
and created one in Myrtle Beach that's literally still going on to this
That's
day.
cool, man.
So it's always been in my family. She can play like any instrument, but me personally, it's not pretty.
No go.
Not pretty.
Understood.
But it never. You know what? It's kind of one of those things that never. I always probably because watching like my cousins play sports, I always like sports were what like grabbed me. Like baseball was my sport, and the big reason was watching the Braves on TV all the time, and because I watched my older cousin play baseball, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. So you have to, if you're going to be really talented at something like that, you have to kind of have that just drive to do it. And B, let's go full circle. You have to have a teacher or mentor, who really, grabs you and helps mold you in those areas. And I certainly, would have had that if I had wanted to go that direction. But I don't know. I didn't get the just natural.
All right, I was just curious.
What about you?
No, I love music, and I think part of the reason I love music is because I'm not musically inclined at all. I have very little. Yeah, shower in the car. That's where I do all my singing, and that's about
Belt
it.
it out a little bit.
But I love music. I probably music is, I guess, because I played so much sports, and so music is more intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Because when I'm watching football, I can figure some things out. But when I watch a musician play, it's like magic. I'm like, how did you do that? How'd you do that? I can't figure that out. So, but yeah, I love music though, man, for sure. Musical talents, any?
I don't want to say I'm talented. I dabble a little bit. Like my dad was a musician. He played in a band in high school. So he had a guitar growing up.
Oris Lambert.
What's up, man?
Sing,
How you doing? Former Gamecock over here joining us.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. How you doing, man? Yeah, but a little bit. Play some guitar still. Play drums a little bit.
Yeah.
Singing.
No singing.
No,
I got you.
I'm not a good singer. I'm in the shower. My kids make fun of me. That type of
For
thing.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, teacher appreciation day, man. It's a good day. We'll have 30, 31, 32 plus their guests, and they can come out there and they'll be honored. It'll be a good time. I'm excited about it.
Tell them when's the third book coming, man? I know that's a little bit to be determined. I understand, but soon is that?
Yeah, but
soon-ish?
that's so vague, though, man. I hate when people say vague things. So we were really close, but kind of crazily, along with everything else, we kind of getting caught up in the shortages that's going around.
Yeah.
So you don't think about like paper has to be sent from here to there, and unfortunately we are going to be printing in Columbia, so we won't have any shipping problems with that. But there was like some hold up with ink and something like that, but we're closer than we are further. And I don't have a date though. And that bothers me. I don't like people like, it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let me ask it like this then. You excited about the new book, man?
I'm very excited about it. I think it's the best one we've done.
Okay.
I do. I know every artist is like, oh, it's the new one. No, but I think this is really good.
How much did you learn about the process from doing it the first time?
Tremendous amount. I mean, again, learn the difference in fonts. A lot of times dealing with Kevin, he's like, that's not gonna work. We're like, why not? And he's like, because it's such and such font. I'm like, and then he's like, well, you want to pick from these 233 fonts? I'm like, I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we've learned a lot, man. Paperweight. Do you want this kind of paper? The sheen on the paper? I don't know. It's way more. It's like anything. There's way more to everything than you think.
When you said like music was magic to you, like that's how I am with Kev and stuff. Like talking to him, I like to just talk to him because he's got such a different perspective and eye. Like when you talk to him about like a person, like look at that person, he'll come up with these descriptors for him. Like, well, they have a square jaw and like that, like stuff like that. And I'm like,
stuff you never noticed.
You don't notice, and you definitely can't think about it.
Sure.
You definitely can't draw it.
You definitely can't draw it. I can't even conceptualize it, like how he thinks about it. He just got that different kind of eye.
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll just go from like, yeah, man, make it look like this, and Langston will draw like a stick figure. Like, yeah, and then Kevin, I got you, and then he'll turn it into magic.
It's crazy. Yeah, so let's tell Preston, we need to get you hooked up with Dead Soxy, indeed. I know you're a sock guy.
I am a sock guy.
Deadsoxy.com, DEADSOXY.com. The Spur line, college line, men's, women's, athletics, no-shows, all with the buttery soft feel and the patented no-slip technology. You can go to deadsoxy.com and get 25% off your entire order with the promo code COCKY.
Good job, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
We got Preston hooked up with some socks. All right, y'all, that's it. That's it for this week for GC Live. Hopefully, hey, if you can go to the game, go to the game. Like, I'm going to get on my little cart here for a second again and complain. I saw somebody complaining, I don't got anywhere to park this week, man, because of the fair. Look, the weather is freaking amazing right now. We're all going to be out there. You might bump into us hanging out at the game. But, dude, you get 7 a year. Take your kids to the fair. Go have some fried Oreos. Whatever, fried cookie dough, fried butter, they got anything you could want at the fair. Go by the fair, get some food. Don't count the calories. Go enjoy the day and watch your Gamecocks get an SEC victory. We only get 7 a year, so enjoy it, appreciate it.
Yeah, and just remember how we didn't have this last year. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have these opportunities, so I think that's important for you. Like, go enjoy these opportunities with your family, with your friends, because we don't get them very often.
That's right.
Well, we get caught up as a group, as the collective Gamecock Nation, complaining about this and that and this and that. It is still supposed to be enjoyable to go watch the game. So let's go out there, maybe have some beverages, hang out with our friends and family, and have a good time tomorrow. And the Gamecocks should, I firmly believe, get their first SEC victory of the year. For Preston, for Chris, I'm Wes. This is GC Live. Appreciate Market on Main for hosting us here. And we'll see you all on Monday. Y'all enjoy the game tomorrow.